The Galactic Survey Corps had mapped 12,000 habitable worlds across 3 spiral arms, but none had ever made Commander Kira's instruments malfunction quite like this one. Her ship, the Wanderer, hung in orbit around the 3rd planet of an unremarkable yellow star, its gravity sensors cycling through readings that defied everything she knew about planetary physics. "Run the scan again," she ordered her navigator Jace, whose young face wore the same bewildered expression that had plagued the crew for the past 3 hours. "Same result, Commander. The planet's mass indicates a gravity of roughly 7.8 meters per second squared, but our sensors are detecting forces consistent with 9.8. Jace's fingers danced across the holographic display, pulling up data streams that twisted in impossible patterns. It's as if the planet is hiding additional mass somewhere. Kira studied the blue-green world rotating slowly beneath them. White clouds swirled over vast oceans and brown-green continents. It looked peaceful, almost inviting, nothing like the gravitational anomaly it apparently housed. The planet's inhabitants had achieved basic spaceflight only recently, launching primitive chemical rockets and establishing a small space station. By Galactic Council standards, they were barely past their technological infancy. Could there be a dense core we're missing? Asked Dr. Vale, the expedition's xenogeologist. Her silver hair caught the bridge's ambient lighting as she leaned over the sensor array. Some unknown material? Negative. Deep scans show a standard iron-nickel core, silicate mantle, and crustal composition typical of terrestrial worlds. Kira's brow furrowed. The math doesn't add up. This planet shouldn't have this much gravitational pull. The communications. A ray chirped, indicating an incoming message from the planet's surface. Jace's eyes widened as he processed the signal. "Commander, they're trying to communicate with us. The transmission is in multiple languages. They know we're here." Kira felt a chill run down her spine. Most pre-contact civilizations either ignored orbital anomalies or dismissed them as natural phenomena. This species, these humans, according to their preliminary data, had not only detected their presence, but were actively reaching out. "What are they saying?" "It's welcoming, Commander. They're inviting us to establish contact. They're calling themselves representatives of something called the United Earth Defense Coalition." Jace paused, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "They're asking if we'd like to come down and see what they've been building." The bridge fell silent, except for the gentle hum of the ship's systems. Kira stared at the planet below, its gravity readings still fluctuating in patterns that suggested something far more complex than a simple world spinning through space. The humans weren't just aware of their presence, they seemed to have been expecting them. "Commander," Dr. Vale said softly, "I've never encountered a pre-contact species that responded this way. Usually, they're either terrified or completely oblivious. These humans." She trailed off, studying the gravitational data scrolling past on her screen. "They're not afraid," Kira finished. "They're confident. Every great bond starts with a single moment of courage. HFY Chronicle Stories is just beginning, and your support matters. If you love emotional sci-fi tales, forbidden connections, and stories that stay with you, hit subscribe. It's free, and it helps us bring more stories from the stars to you. As Kira contemplated their next move, the gravity reading spiked again, this time showing a brief but unmistakable increase of nearly 15%. Whatever was hidden beneath Earth's surface had just responded to their presence, and somehow the humans knew exactly what it was. The shuttle bay of the Wanderer had never felt so tense as Commander Kira made final preparations for first contact. Her diplomatic team consisted of herself, Dr. Vale, and Lieutenant Moss, their linguist and cultural specialist. The humans had provided precise coordinates for a landing site in what they called the Rocky Mountain region of North America, along with detailed atmospheric and terrain data that suggested an impressive level of technological sophistication. Their knowledge of orbital mechanics is remarkable for a species that only achieved spaceflight 50 years ago, Dr. Vale observed, reviewing the technical specifications the humans had transmitted. These calculations account for variables that most civilizations don't discover until they've been spacefaring for centuries. Lieutenant Moss looked up from his translation matrices. Their linguistic patterns are fascinating too. They communicate in hundreds of distinct languages. Yet they've developed universal translation protocols that rival our own. It's as if they've been preparing for this moment. As their shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, Kira noticed the gravity readings becoming more erratic. The additional force wasn't uniform, it seemed to emanate from specific points across the planet's surface, creating a network of gravitational anomalies that defied natural explanation. "Commander, I'm detecting massive constructed structures beneath the surface," reported their pilot, Captain Reed. "They're deep kilometers down, but they're definitely artificial. The humans have been busy." The landing site materialized through the cloud cover, a vast complex of buildings and installations nestled in a mountain valley. What struck Kira immediately was the scale. This wasn't just a meeting facility, it was a full military and research installation that could house thousands of people. Guard towers dotted the perimeter, and she could see the distinctive energy signatures of defensive systems that shouldn't exist on a pre-contact world. "Those are fusion reactors," Dr. Vale whispered, her instruments detecting power sources that most civilizations took millennia to develop. Multiple fusion reactors, all feeding power into something underground. As they touched down on a prepared landing pad, Kira saw a delegation approaching. 3 humans walked across the tarmac with confident strides, their clothing a mixture of formal diplomatic attire and what appeared to be advanced environmental suits. The lead figure, a middle-aged man with graying hair and sharp eyes, raised his hand in what was unmistakably a greeting gesture. "Welcome to Earth," he said as Kira and her team exited their shuttle. His voice carried through their universal translators with remarkable clarity. "I'm Director Tom Harrison of the United Earth Defense Coalition. We've been looking forward to this meeting for quite some time." "Director Harrison," Kira replied, following diplomatic protocols while her mind raced with questions. "I'm Commander Kira of the Galactic Survey Corps. We're honored by your invitation, though I must admit, we're puzzled by certain anomalies we've detected." Harrison's smile was knowing, almost paternal. "The gravity readings, you mean?" "Yes, we figured that would catch your attention eventually. That's rather the point." He gestured toward the main facility. "We have a great deal to show you, Commander. Things that will change how the galaxy views humanity, and perhaps how humanity views itself." As they walked toward the complex, Kira noticed that each step felt heavier than it should. The gravitational anomaly was strongest here, pulling at her with a force that spoke of massive engineering projects hidden beneath their feet. "How long have you known about galactic civilization?" she asked. "Longer than you might think," Harrison replied. "We've been monitoring galactic communications for decades. We know about the Council, the Survey Corps, the various species and their territories. We've been preparing." "Preparing for what?" Harrison stopped walking and turned to face her, his expression growing serious. "Commander, what do you know about planetary defense systems?" The question sent a chill through Kira's entire team. Planetary defense systems were the province of advanced civilizations, technologies that required centuries of development and resources that most worlds couldn't even dream of accessing. "Director Harrison," she said carefully, "are you telling U.S. that Earth has constructed defense systems?" "Not just defense systems, Commander." Harrison's eyes gleamed with something that might have been pride, or perhaps anticipation. "We've built something that no other world in the galaxy has ever attempted. Something that requires the combined gravitational output of our entire planet to power." The elevator descended for what felt like an eternity, carrying Kira and her team deeper into the Earth than she had thought possible. The walls were lined with a crystalline material that seemed to pulse with its own inner light, and the gravity readings on her instruments continued to climb with each passing level. "We're 3 kilometers down," Dr. Vale whispered, her voice filled with awe. The engineering required for this excavation alone should have taken centuries. Director Harrison overheard her comment and smiled. "One of the advantages of being a young species, Doctor. We haven't learned yet what's supposed to be impossible." He gestured to the glowing walls around them. "This crystalline matrix helps focus and amplify gravitational fields. We discovered the technique by accident while working on our first fusion projects." "Director," Lieutenant Moss interjected, his translation equipment working overtime to process the technical data streaming from built-in displays. "These power readings suggest energy output comparable to a stellar engine. What exactly are you powering down here?" The elevator finally stopped, and the doors opened to reveal a chamber so vast that Kira's breath caught in her throat. Stretching out before them was a cavern that seemed to extend beyond the reach of their lights, filled with structures that defied every assumption she had made about human technological capability. Massive rings of metal and crystal hung suspended in the darkness, each one easily a kilometer in diameter. Energy coursed between them in patterns that reminded Kira of neural networks, creating a web of power that pulsed with the rhythm of a planetary heartbeat. The gravitational anomalies she had detected from orbit weren't random, they were the output of this incredible machine. "What is this?" she breathed. "We call it the Terra engine," Harrison replied, his voice carrying a note of reverence. "Humanity's first and greatest achievement in planetary engineering." He led them along a walkway that extended into the chamber, passing monitoring stations where human technicians worked alongside, instruments that looked centuries ahead of anything Kira had seen on other worlds. Dr. Vale's scanner was nearly overwhelmed by the readings it was collecting. "The gravitational manipulation occurring here is beyond anything in galactic records. You're not just generating additional gravity, you're controlling it, focusing it, directing it with precision that should require quantum-level computational matrices." "It does," Harrison confirmed. "But humans have always been good at finding creative solutions to impossible problems. We built quantum computers using principles we discovered by studying the gravitational interactions between our planet and moon. It took us 30 years and the combined resources of every nation on Earth, but we did it." Captain Reed was studying the massive rings with growing alarm. "Commander, those structures, they're not just gravitational generators. The energy patterns suggest weapons capability." "Massive weapons capability." Harrison nodded approvingly. "Captain Reed has excellent observational skills. Yes, the Terra engine serves multiple purposes. It's a planetary defense system, a gravitational research facility, and what we like to think of as humanity's introduction to the galactic community." "Introduction?" Kira felt a growing sense of unease. "Director, planetary defense systems of this magnitude typically violate several galactic accords. The Council specifically prohibits member species from constructing such systems." Harrison interrupted gently. "Earth is not a member species. We haven't even been formally contacted yet." His smile was almost apologetic. "Technically, we're still operating under pre-contact protocols." The implications hit Kira like a physical blow. Earth had been under observation by the Survey Corps for decades, following standard protocol for monitoring developing civilizations. But during that entire time, the humans had been building this massive installation, hiding it beneath their planet's surface, and using it to mask their true technological capabilities. "You've been deceiving us," she said quietly. "We've been protecting ourselves," Harrison corrected. "Commander, how many species in the galaxy have achieved interstellar civilization?" "Approximately 4,000 active civilizations across the current survey range." "And how many of those achieved that status without first being conquered, absorbed, or guided by an existing galactic power? Kira opened her mouth to answer, then closed it again. The truth was uncomfortable. Very few species achieved true independence in the galaxy. Most were absorbed into existing confederations or became client states of more powerful civilizations. The Terra engine ensures that humanity will not suffer that fate, Harrison continued. We will join galactic civilization as equals, not as subjects. This installation can generate gravitational pulses capable of disrupting faster-than-light travel across a range of several light years. Any fleet attempting to approach Earth with hostile intent will find themselves pulled out of hyperspace and trapped in normal space, where our defensive capabilities become significantly more relevant. Dr. Vale looked up from her scanner, her face pale. Director, the power requirements for such a system would drain most planetary power grids in minutes. How are you sustaining this level of output? Harrison's smile widened. Doctor, you're thinking too small. The Terra engine doesn't just use Earth's gravity, it uses Earth itself. Our entire planet has become part of the machine. The control center of the Terra engine was a marvel of human engineering that left Kira's team speechless. Holographic displays showed gravitational field patterns extending far beyond Earth's atmosphere, while human operators monitored systems that controlled forces capable of reshaping local spacetime. The chamber hummed with barely contained power, and Kira could feel the artificial gravity fluctuating in response to the massive energies being channeled through the planet's core. The breakthrough came when we realized that gravity isn't just a force, it's information, Director Harrison explained, leading them to a central console where a three-dimensional map of the solar system rotated slowly. Every gravitational interaction carries data about mass, velocity, and spatial relationships. We learned to read that information, and eventually, to write it. Dr. Vale studied the display with growing amazement. You're using your planet's entire gravitational field as a communication and detection network. This is how you knew we were coming. You felt our approach through gravitational wake disturbances. Exactly. The Terra engine monitors gravitational patterns across a sphere roughly 10 light-years in diameter. We've known about Survey Corps' activities in this sector for over a decade. Harrison manipulated the display, showing Kira the tracks of dozens of ships that had passed through the region. We've been watching the Watchers, you might say. Lieutenant Moss was studying readouts that tracked energy flow through the planet's core. The computational requirements for processing this much gravitational data should require artificial intelligence systems beyond anything most civilizations achieved before achieving interstellar travel. How did humans develop such technology? We didn't develop it, Harrison replied. We became it. The statement hung in the air like a challenge. Kira felt her understanding of human civilization shifting once again. What do you mean? The Terra engine isn't operated by computers, Commander. It's operated by human consciousness directly interfaced with quantum processing matrices. We discovered that human neural patterns, when properly amplified and networked, could process gravitational data with an efficiency that purely artificial systems couldn't match. Harrison led them to another section of the control center, where Kira saw something that made her step back in shock. Dozens of humans lay in crystalline chambers, their bodies connected to the Terra engine through interfaces that seemed to grow directly from their skin. Their faces were peaceful, almost serene, but streams of data flowed around them in patterns that spoke of minds working at superhuman speeds. They volunteered, Harrison said quietly, noting Kira's expression. Every person you see here chose to become part of the Terra engine's consciousness network. They're still human, still themselves, but their awareness has been expanded to encompass planetary-scale systems. Dr. Vale approached one of the chambers, her scanner detecting brain activity patterns unlike anything in galactic medical records. The neural integration is extraordinary. Their minds are operating across multiple dimensional layers simultaneously. How is this possible? Humans are adaptable, Doctor. More adaptable than most species realize. Harrison's voice carried a note of pride. When we understood what was required to make the Terra engine work, thousands volunteered to undergo the integration process. They've become something new, still human, but enhanced beyond what any individual consciousness could achieve. Captain Reed was studying tactical displays that showed Earth's entire defensive grid. Commander, the system could disable any fleet in the galaxy. The gravitational control they've achieved could trap dreadnoughts, disrupt communication networks, even prevent planetary bombardment by redirecting incoming projectiles. Yes, Harrison confirmed. Earth is now effectively unconquerable by conventional galactic military forces. But that's not why we built the Terra engine. Then why? Kira asked. Harrison walked to the central console and activated a new display. This one showed not Earth's solar system, but a map of the entire galactic spiral arm. Red markers indicated locations throughout known space, each pulsing with the same rhythm as the Terra engine. Because Earth isn't the only world hiding something, Commander. Our gravitational monitoring has detected similar installations on 17 other planets' worlds that the Galactic Council believes are uninhabited or primitive. They're not. They're hiding, just as we were hiding. The implications staggered Kira. If Harrison was correct, then the galaxy contained far more advanced civilizations than anyone had realized. Species that had chosen to remain hidden rather than join the galactic community, developing technologies in secret while presenting facades of primitive development. The Terra engine serves as a beacon, Harrison continued. A signal to these hidden civilizations that Earth is ready to communicate. We believe it's time for the secret keepers to reveal themselves to each other, if not to the galaxy at large. Dr. Vale looked up from her analysis of the integrated humans. Director, what you're describing could fundamentally alter the balance of power in galactic civilization. If even a fraction of these hidden worlds possess technology comparable to the Terra engine, then perhaps it's time for that balance to change, Harrison replied. The current galactic order is built on the assumption that older civilizations are inherently superior to younger ones. Earth's existence proves that assumption false. Innovation doesn't require millennia of development. It requires the courage to attempt what others consider impossible. Kira felt the weight of the moment settling on her shoulders. She had come to Earth expecting to make routine first contact with a primitive species. Instead, she had discovered a civilization that could potentially challenge the fundamental assumptions underlying galactic society. What happens now? She asked. Harrison smiled, and for the first time, Kira saw something in his expression that looked almost like sympathy. Now, Commander, you have a choice to make. You can report what you've found here to the Galactic Council, triggering a response that could destabilize the entire region. Or you can help us make contact with the other hidden worlds and perhaps create something new, a alliance of civilizations built on capability rather than age, innovation rather than tradition. The communications chamber of the Terra engine represented humanity's boldest gambit, yet a room where gravitational waves were modulated and transmitted across interstellar distances with precision that defied every known law of physics. Kira watched in fascination as human operators, their consciousness partially integrated with the planetary machine, sent carefully crafted signals towards 17 distant worlds. The responses are already coming in, Director Harrison reported, his eyes bright with excitement. 4 systems have acknowledged our transmission. 3 are requesting direct communication protocols. He paused, studying incoming data streams. 1 is sending a delegation. Dr. Vale looked up from her instruments, her face pale with amazement. The gravitational manipulation required for faster-than-light communication through space-time distortion should be impossible. The energy requirements alone. The Terra engine doesn't fight physics, Doctor, Harrison interrupted gently. It partners with physics. We discovered that gravity isn't separate from space and time, it's the language they use to communicate with each other. Once we learned to speak that language, the impossible became merely improbable. Lieutenant Moss was monitoring translation matrices as signals arrived from across the galaxy. Commander, these incoming transmissions are using communication protocols I've never encountered. The linguistic structures suggest civilizations that have been developing in isolation for thousands of years, yet their technology appears to be centuries ahead of standard galactic baselines. One by one, the hidden worlds revealed themselves. The aquatic civilization of Kepler 447 had built gravitational tide engines that could manipulate stellar currents. The desert world of Ross 128 had developed crystalline computers that processed information at quantum speeds. A gas giant in the Vega system housed floating cities that existed in a state of controlled gravitational suspension. Each world found its own path, Harrison explained as data flowed across the chamber's displays. While the galactic community focused on standardized technological development, we explored alternatives. Earth specialized in biological mechanical integration. Other worlds developed different approaches to the same fundamental challenges. Kira felt her understanding of galactic civilization crumbling and reforming around these revelations. How many hidden worlds are there? We estimate several hundred, at minimum, possibly thousands. Harrison's expression grew serious. Commander, the galaxy isn't what the Council believes it to be. There's an entire shadow civilization operating beneath the surface of known space species that chose development over diplomacy, innovation over integration. The chamber's primary display activated, showing an incoming vessel that defied every principle of starship design Kira had ever encountered. Instead of the sleek, metallic hulls favored by most galactic civilizations, this ship appeared to be grown rather than built, its organic curves suggesting biotechnology beyond anything in Council records. The delegation from Kepler 447, Harrison announced. They'll arrive in 6 hours. Commander, you're about to witness something that hasn't happened in galactic history, a formal meeting between hidden civilizations. Dr. Vale approached Kira, her voice low and urgent. Commander, we need to make a decision. If we report this to the Council... we trigger a response that could lead to war, Kira finished. She had been thinking the same thing. The revelation that hundreds of advanced civilizations had been operating in secret would terrify the established galactic powers. Fear would lead to preemptive action, and preemptive action would lead to conflict on a scale the galaxy had never seen. There's another option, Harrison said, overhearing their conversation. Stay, observe, learn, help us build something better than what currently exists. You're asking me to betray my duty to the Survey Corps. I'm asking you to consider whether your duty is to the Survey Corps or to galactic civilization as a whole. Harrison gestured to the displays showing incoming ships from hidden worlds across the galaxy. This is bigger than first contact, Commander. This is the emergence of a new galactic order, one built on cooperation between equals rather than dominance by established powers. Captain Reed stepped forward, his tactical training evident in his assessment of the situation. Commander, from a strategic perspective, Earth and its allies represent a significant shift in galactic power balance. If they're willing to share their technologies, the galaxy changes, Kira said quietly. Advanced gravitational manipulation, biological mechanical integration, quantum processing networks, these technologies could revolutionize everything. From transportation to communication to planetary defense. The first ship from Kepler 447 entered Earth's solar system, its organic hull rippling with patterns that suggested active camouflage systems. As it approached, Kira felt the Terra engine responding, its gravitational fields reaching out to guide the vessel through Earth's defensive perimeter. Commander, Harrison said softly, humanity has spent its entire existence believing we were alone in the universe. When we discovered galactic civilization, we realized we were young and primitive compared to ancient species with millennia of development. But the Terra engine taught us something important. Age doesn't determine capability. Innovation does. Courage does. The willingness to attempt what others consider impossible does. Kira watched as more ships appeared on long-range sensors, each one representing a hidden civilization ready to emerge from the shadows. The galaxy was about to change in ways that no one could predict, and she found herself at the center of that transformation. "What would you have me do?" she asked. Harrison smiled, the expression carrying genuine warmth and respect. "Help us. Prove that the galaxy is big enough for everyone, Commander. Help us show that cooperation creates more possibilities than conquest ever could. The universe is vast, and there's room for every species to find their own path among the stars." As the alien delegation approached Earth, Kira made her decision. She activated her communication system and began composing a message to the Survey Corps. Not a report of first contact with a primitive species, but a request for diplomatic authorization to negotiate with a coalition of advanced civilizations that could reshape the future of galactic society. The Terra engine pulsed around them, its gravitational waves carrying humanity's message to the stars. Earth was ready to take its place in the galaxy, not as a subject species, but as an equal partner in building something greater than anyone had dared imagine. In the depths of the planet, the integrated consciousness of the Terra engine felt the moment when everything changed, when the hidden became visible, and when the galaxy took its first step toward a future built on courage rather than conquest.